Hello, Gina.
Hi, Don.
Great to see you.
Great to see you as always.
I have to say congratulations
Or,
for the newborn, not yours.
oh, you can totally confuse people. Yeah, I'm an aunt, a first-time aunt, and I'm obsessed.
What's that like?
Oh my God. Well, I saw it all. I mean, I was in the delivery room,
Mm,
literally coaching my sister through it, leg
whoa.
propped up. I mean, you can imagine the whole scene. But amazing. Just it's crazy this whole time this little what seems like an alien in her stomach is finally a human being. And now I'm like, oh my God, all this time, all throughout the different phases of her pregnancy, I could imagine her in there. So it's pretty amazing. But she's just so sweet and cute and a calm baby. She's just amazing. I love her.
So
Yeah,
well, sorry, in English, that makes you an aunt.
I'm an aunt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. First time aunt.
First time being
First
an aunt.
child of the family. Yeah.
Do we have a name?
India Rose.
Oh,
It's a pretty
uh,
name, huh?
very pretty and it's very unique. How did that come to be?
Well, my sister, she traveled throughout India, and she had an incredible, that was a very much of a journey of the self, the soul, I guess you could say. And so that has a lot of significance for her in her own personal transformation and growth. And then Rose is actually her husband's grandmother's name. So India Rose hence came forth from that.
So then, how would we? What would be the first name basis? Would it be like India?
India. Yeah, India.
Whoa. What would be the math? What would be the statistics in terms of how many babies are called India?
It's actually becoming a little bit more of a common name.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly. It's not super common, it's not mainstream per se, but it is definitely. I know a couple Indias, not personally, at least just through other people, via other people.
But India Rose, that's together. That's whoa. That's really nice. I like that.
Yeah,
Great.
fantastic.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ooh. So we have a very special guest today, a special coach today. Not to say that all the other coaches have not been special; they've been equally special. However, Gina, you're a bit different because you've got multiple hats. You're not only a coach, but you're also single-handedly responsible for putting all the coaches together, the onboarding, um, finding the best talent, and bringing them to Donnelly and Company. So very special indeed. We've got Gina Standard here today. Gina, can you go ahead and do a quick intro and we'll go from there?
Sure. Well, my name is Gina Standard. I am originally from Los Angeles, California, but my family moved to New York when I was in high school, so I've been there pretty much since. I went for undergrad, I studied government and politics at the University of Maryland, and I'm now about to pursue my graduate degree, my master's at Tufts University, where I'll be studying more about Pacific Asia, North Korea specifically, and conflict resolution. So that's the path that I'm pursuing right now. I am half Korean, half Caucasian or Jewish, and my let's see. I After I graduated from college, I moved to Korea, and I spent about 4 years there. That's where I actually co-founded a business. It was a online platform, web platform, and app platform where you could connect to a native speaking tutor on demand 24 hours a day. So it's like the Uber of language tutoring, I guess you could say. So I did that for 2 years, and then I returned back to the United States about 1 year ago now. Other areas, places I've worked, I interned at the White House Office of Presidential Correspondence, basically a glorified mailroom of the president under President Obama at the time. And that was an amazing experience as well. I've also interned at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law. So that's been pretty much my background and the experience I've dabbled in.
Absolutely. And now, can I ask you what your underlying motivations are to pursuing your master's at Tufts?
Yeah, I think one thing I always knew pretty firmly was that I wanted to become a liaison in some capacity. So that meant I realized when I was in college that I decided that being half Korean, I hadn't really taken the time to study the language. I grew up hearing it and learning Hangul and all that stuff, but I didn't really have a personal vested interest in learning. I think throughout my college years, I then realized that I really wanted to somehow become a liaison between US and Korea in some capacity. So when I actually started my business, Malhana was the name, and as you probably know, Mal is word or language, and Hana is one, but the idea I wanted to emphasize was one language, one word, and these universal shared values that bring us together despite language, despite culture. That's always been something of a passion of mine, is to bring people together. How can I connect people together, not just based on our universal shared values? That's always been something very, very much of a passion of mine.
I love it. And you're continuing that work at Donnelly and Company as well.
Yes, which I love.
And I guess that's a good segue into your, I would say, prime role and prime responsibility of finding the most passionate coaches out there and having them, I guess, connect with clients so that we can help them with that one language. What is it that you're looking for, Gina? Or what is it that stands out to you and say, oh, we need to have that interview, or ooh, we need to connect them with our clients?
Initially before you hire someone, the first thing you receive is a resume or piece of paper, maybe a personal statement or letter of interest of some sort. Of course, that's the first thing that catches my eye is your professional work experience. Do you have the corporate work experience in order to help our clients navigate the different dimensions of the business world, them being able to progress in their careers? That is something I look for. But more than that, the most important thing I look for is passion and warmth. I think that learning another language is a really hard thing. It takes a lot of courage and it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And when you are meeting someone twice a week, 2 hours a day, taking that time out of your schedule, you really want to be able to connect and connect to that person, not just as a teacher, but also as a friend. So that warmth and that, I don't want to say charisma, but it's just genuineness, someone who's really genuine, and people can read that and feel that. So I think those are some of the two different elements. It's the practical work experience, and also English teaching experience is a great plus as well, but also this warmth. Can you connect with another human being?
I love that criteria. And it is our special sauce, isn't it? I mean, that type of criteria that we're going for, it does it does weigh heavy in our selection process. The coach's warmth, their sincerity, they're passionate, and when I have these calls with all of our coaches, that's what I feel. And if I feel that, I'm sure our clients feel that. And It's a tribute to really your outstanding talent, Gina. And I'm lucky, you know. And if it wasn't for your motivation of what you just shared as to why you applied and why you got into your Tufts and what your vision is, I don't think we would be here today. I mean, we connected with that. You know, I asked you, what is your plans for the next 4 or 5 years, and what is your vision? And as soon as you shared that with me, I said, goodness, you know, how can we work together? You know, and here we are today. We've got the most talented, most passionate team of coaches helping our clients. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, we're getting a lot of hits and a lot of calls and emails about clients reaching their dream jobs, clients moving up in their corporate companies and getting that promotion or getting a hire. It's just been amazing to see. And it all comes to bringing the right people together. And that's Gina. So that's the introduction. Now, the purpose of this call is, of course, to talk about what we do as coaches with our clients and share any useful and insightful strategies, lesson plans that when coaches listen in, they can actually apply it and use it for their own sessions. So Gina, from what I know is you are currently teaching students across all levels of English. You know, we've got a client, I think you have a client that is very advanced. You also have a client that's in the middle and someone that's in the beginning stages. And you have different strategies for all three. Let's go with your most advanced. When you're dealing with different types of levels of English, what is your thought process? And in that thought process, how are you able to tailor make the lessons to meet the needs of your students?
So when I first have that initial meeting with my client, right off the bat, I can pretty much tell where his or her level is at. I make sure to take that time to really understand, first of all, what their goals are, their style of learning. And as time progresses, I also get a sense of what they respond to. So a lot of it is also honestly trial and error. I might try a Harvard Business Review article, which is kind of our standard, but some clients respond really great to that. They love it and they really, really enjoy it. They're interested in it. Some clients, they kind of go off the cuff. They don't really want that structured type of lesson plan. So they might be bringing their own materials. So I think a lot of it is kind of sensing what the client likes, but I try to take the lead and present, hey, these are some of our options. I actually will use that material or medium to facilitate our class. And then I see, hey, you know, he or she really enjoyed that. So I'll incorporate more of that particular content within the lesson. So honestly, it's just trial and error, seeing what my clients respond to and then changing accordingly.
So I think you said maybe that you've got one student who is being very proactive in bringing their own materials to class. Can you go in detail on that?
Yeah, so I have one client and she, you know, we meet twice a week, but she doesn't really have time to do a lot of studying before the session or after. So she's someone who's very busy and has a very full schedule. And so those 2 hours a week are pretty, we really focus on trying to get as much out of those 2 hours as we can. Oftentimes she will bring her own presentation material. So a PowerPoint that she's already prepared and drafted, and we will go over it together. She'll present to me, ask for very specific feedback, and then I'll go in pretty deep and actually do some grammatical corrections as well. So that is one thing that we will do that. And then we supplement it with, you know, let's talk about different presentation, how to start a presentation, how to end a presentation. Maybe we'll focus on some key phrasing on transitions from one slide to the next. So we might do that, and then we might jump to the next week to a TED Talk and use snippets of a TED Talk Or sometimes we just talk about life, what's
Mm-hmm.
going on at work, what's going on in my life, and we're just hanging out, talking like friends. So it really all varies.
Is it presentation focused because that is what's going on frequently in her career? Okay, I see.
Yes, that's something that she specifically wants to focus on, is because she has a lot of presentations going on right now.
Noted. Okay, so then you have that type of student who is being proactive and bringing their materials to you, and from there, it's taking a life on its own. You are finding articles or TED Talks or anything related to really how to deliver presentations at the highest level. How about do you have a student that just is in love with the standard process, the Harvard Business Review articles, by the book? Can you go in detail with that one?
Yeah, so my more advanced student, he always comes prepared. I already see him on the Zoom invite link an hour before. He is, has that message, your attendee is waiting. He's always ready, and this is like 6 a.m, so it's very early for him. He always comes prepared. He's already reviewing our live session feedback notes, which is the live document that we use for new vocabulary, new any idioms or phrasal verbs that I bring to the class each day or each session. And then correcting, as he's speaking, I also will type about anywhere from about 10 sentences or so, and then I will actually revise those after the class. So he's already, before the session, he's already coming in prepared. He always reads the article, and he always studies afterwards. So he's quick because he's really proactive about his own learning.
When I have a student that's always prepared, that's like hungry for information and knowledge, it really does make it enjoyable. So when you see like the amount of how serious that they're taking it, it actually fires you up and raises your game up, right? As a coach.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so we do have that type of student who is always coming prepared, is following by the book, meaning following our standard process, which is Harvard Business Reviews, real-time correction notes. Then you have another student that would be a little bit on the beginner side, right? What is your course of action there?
So it took a little time to find the right level, and I was happy that he was vocal and he shared with me that the content was a little bit too advanced for him. So from there, I found some lower level articles, actually articles, there were news articles for kids in middle school kids, but there's still a lot of advanced vocabulary in there. Just the sentences are a little bit less complex, a little bit more simple sentences. And so that allowed him to not be as stressed during the session, trying to understand these complex sentences with a lot of jargon and a lot of slang, which Harvard Business Review does have, which is great for many of our students, but for him, it just was a little bit overwhelming. So we have been working from a little bit lower level articles. And since then, he is enjoying it a lot more. One of the processes that we do use is that while we're going over the article, we actually go line by line, we read it together. I don't, actually, I've made a point with a lot of my clients to not ask just discussion questions right off the bat. I'm actually reading the article with them together. So we read one paragraph together, and then I ask them, hey, what does that word mean in that context? I might ask them to then create their own sample sentence within that, using that word, and then asking them a question, a comprehension or discussion question to in the next segment. So we do that, and I found that now after I write down those keywords, his homework every class is to write down his own sentences. So he's responsible for not only finding the Korean translation, but also an English definition, and then making his own sample sentences. And we go over those together for the first 15 minutes or so, going over about anywhere from 5 to 10 sentences together. And I really want to make sure he understands how to use these words, because vocabulary is imperative to really taking your English fluency to the next level. So once I understand, okay, he understands this, he understands how it's used, he understands its different nuances, then I feel like it kind of gives him the surge of confidence because he's learning something new actively.
Right. Um, the are you the real-time question notes? Is that something that you're using with him as well?
Yes, with all my clients, I will use those notes and have anywhere from 30 lines or so between new vocab, corrected sentences. And all my clients get that. So they get a log of each class. It's a new tab every class, and they can refer to that. So if they forget, they can go back, re-reference it. I want them to have that all in one congregated place.
Beauty. Now, this student, I'm sure they're trial and error in terms of finding that right medium to carry on the discussions and use for class material. Did you have to get creative? And if so, what other sources were you able to tap into that helped you in preparing for class?
Sometimes if I'm having a hard time finding what my client likes, I will actually ask him or her to bring material to the class. I say, okay, send me 3 articles that you are interested in. And once I get that will actually help me to see exactly what they want to talk about. So if you're sending me an article about, current events, right? I already know immediately, okay, this person wants to talk about what's going on, whether it's international news or local, then that helps me. So sometimes I'll ask them to do that. I also like to use phrasal verbs. That's been something I use in order to really become a native speaker, I guess, or sound like a native speaker per se. Phrasal verbs are huge. And if anyone watches any type of American drama or series, it's tons of them. They use so many phrasal verbs. So with one of my clients, we go through 3 phrasal verbs at the start of each class. That's how we start each class, is we do 3 phrasal verbs. And I'll explain all the different definitions. Sometimes one phrasal verb will have like 4 definitions. And then I'll ask him to actually create sample sentences with it. And make sure, okay, do you understand how this is used? And it's so gratifying seeing him use that phrasal verb in the next class, which is great. Because I can really see him challenging himself and growing in that process.
And these students have a log of all of these new phrasal verbs that they've learned, so that it's like an archive, right? They can go back. I see.
Yes.
That's awesome. I like that. We talked about that someone that's a beginner, someone that's maybe in the middle, someone that's in the advanced, and your approaches and the content that you're using for each different levels. Do you have a student that's a little bit of an anomaly, someone that's not really using Harvard Business Review articles or videos or TED Talks or presentation materials, but something a little bit different?
Yeah, so I do have one client. He is actually working on his thesis for his PhD in business management, and we are actually one of the things that I do is I actually bring research as our primary medium. I find research on the topic, which he loves because I'm obviously familiar with US search engines, and so we actually will go extensively into that and actually debate, and he really loves hearing my perspective as an American and how they do things here. So that's actually been the way we've been conducting our sessions, is going through research and preparing for his thesis so that we can find relevant data, different perspectives, and then incorporate that eventually into his thesis, which we'll be working on together as well.
Whoa, so that's very unique. You're not really writing the thesis together in the class. However, what you're doing is talking about subject matters that are related to his thesis topic.
Yes.
And by doing so, what happens? Why would that be part of the session?
Well, for one, his perspective. I think he loves hearing, because he's writing his thesis in English. Mm-hmm. He wants to know, outside of Korea, how are other people interacting with this particular topic, with
Wow.
this phenomena. So I give him a lot of my, as consumer, my perspective.
Mm.
He will probe me. He asks me so many questions. And so we go really deep, nitty gritty. And then we also talk about, trends and where we see the market going. And my personal experience with it as I guess, a millennial, and for someone as him in Generation X, going through that and our both different unique experiences, how it all intersects with technology, which is his background. So he's happy because he's like, please send me more articles, because he's also using those articles as to support his thesis. So that data is going to be directly integrated into his paper.
So he's putting you in the hot seat every class. And he's asking you questions.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's asking me questions, actually, if anything.
Cool. I mean, that's, I love hearing about this. I mean, it's not like, and that's what makes our program so special, isn't it, Gina? It's like we don't have a one size fits all model.
Yeah.
It's truly tailor made to the student. So you've got a student that is working on his thesis, and he's able to do that with you. You've got a student that focuses on presentations and the delivery of it, and is working on that with you. You got a student that loves the Harvard Business Review articles and loves discussing high-level topics with you, so you got that. I mean, you've just got a lot of different styles, and there's no way we can just give one solution, right? One box to all of our students. It's all tailor-made and crafted. That's what you do best. And I think that's what we all do here best, right? It's a crafted solution. It's tailor-made. It's customized. On that note, I think it brings us to a close, unless there's anything else you want to add, Gina.
Just to close, it's as much as my clients learn from me, I learn so much from them. I think it's such a amazing thing to be able to connect with someone from literally across the world and getting to understand their bread and butter across such different industries. So for me, it's such a privilege to be able to work with these clients and for them to spend, whether it's 2 hours or 1 hour a week with me, and seeing that dedication in their own progress, their own self-development. That's always an inspiration to me as well. So it's just a lot of gratitude to our clients.
It's both ways. A lot of gratitude towards the coaches and a lot of gratitude towards the clients, and that's what makes the culture that we have here, and it's special. I'm hoping a lot of our coaches got value from it. I know I did, just listening to. You can just hear the customization factor. So and I know that the clients appreciate that. So Gina, thank you so much for spending your time with me today and sharing your insights to our group of coaches.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Okay. Thanks, Gina.
All right. Thanks, Don.